on the brink of $1 billion. Those in the know in Oklahoma's medical marijuana industry say they expect sales to cross over the 10-figure mark this year. A portion of those blooming sales growing the state's tax dollars. 2 Works For You investigates, and our Mason Morrow breaks down the numbers in the green gold rush.
From nothing 2 years ago to, quite something now.
We will be $1 billion market. We will have $70 million in tax money coming in.
Chip Paul is the executive director at OK4U Approved. The program works with medical marijuana patients to find safe and effective organic pharmaceutical alternatives. Paul and his wife grew OK4U after writing the bill to make it possible. Nearly 57% of Oklahoma voters approved State Question 788, legalizing marijuana for medicinal purposes in 2018. Thousands across the Sooner State lined up for licenses. 190,000 Oklahomans registered for medical cannabis in year one. That number is now doubled.
Because honestly, the rate of applications really has not slowed down.
According to Marijuana Policy Project, the slice of Sooner State citizens licensed to buy and use medical marijuana is larger than in any other state. Nearly 8% of Oklahomans hold medical cannabis cards. The next largest portions are in Maine and California with slightly less than 5%.
That's why our program has taken off. That's why it's flown. That's why it's flourished the way that it has.
The state is making a pretty penny off of medical marijuana sales. The Oklahoma sales tax is 4.5%, plus the 7% excise sales tax laid out in State Question 788. The revenue coming into the state is growing like the plan it's profiting off of. The OMMA reports just over $240,000 in tax revenue in fourth quarter 2018. In 2019, the state reported almost $55 million. The cash crop continues its climb in 2020 tax totals nearing $128 million.
That money goes to the Department of Health, and they're supposed to use that money per budget to run their department.
Paul tells 2 Works For You investigates he wrote that into law in the lens of a $100 million industry. The plant program is proving him wrong so far.
We will 10x that, right, in 2021.
The OMMA says about $25 million of that tax revenue funds the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. The program's director, Dr. Kelly Williams, tells 2 Works For You $30 million in excise tax money was spent on drug education in schools in 2020. An additional $10 million helps fund state drug rehabilitation centers. Paul says it's about time legislators got their hands on that abundance of bud money. But local dispensaries worry greed is growing from all this green.
Right now, it feels like everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar.
Taxes on the patient could soon turn on the provider. State partner track and trace program Metric is starting its system in Oklahoma this month. The company charges a 45-cent fee for tracking tags tied to each plant. Tony Rodriguez and his team at Harvest Health Dispensary in Sand Springs grow around 2,500 plants at a time.
This guy wanted to add a little bit of tax here. This guy wants to add a little bit of tax here. And when you start adding all these entities up, it falls all back to the grower or to the dispensary that has to inevitably pass it back to the consumer.
That's not all the money the state and its partners stand to make from medical cannabis. The state charges $100 for each patient license and $2,500 for every business license. The state is pocketing almost $63 million in total active license fees. An OMMA spokesperson tells me the license money goes to the Department of Health. I'm also told the legislature dipped into the fund last year almost as an emergency cash reserve during coronavirus and shifted it into the state's education spending. Mason Morrow, 2 Works For You.